Yeah, I mean, we put every dime on the screen. I mean, it was a modest budget, but we've been, this film took over a decade to make, and part of it was because of it's a challenging film to pull together financing for, shooting in two different parts of the world. Basically, we had two different crews outside of our cinematographer, shooting in two different languages and being weather dependent, where you had a very narrow window you could film in. So all of those things were challenges, but then also we knew that this, for us, it had to be done in a there's a particular aesthetic that was needed to pull off, a unique film like this, and so I know from the start we just knew that was the approach we had to take, and it took longer to get it done, but I don't know, there wouldn't have, this was the only way for us to make this film.
Part of I think it was the executive producers, I saw their names, the guys who did from Ed
Homnan.
Yeah. They kind of joined, I think they joined prior to the Sundance premiere or something.
Yeah, they'd been involved for a while.
Okay.
That was just when it got out.
Okay.
Yeah, they'd been involved. And they were. It was very peripheral. With the core in terms of the people that were directly involved with it was very tiny. And then, but they'd seen some of our previous work and really liked the script for Kumiko, and so it was really, we're grateful.
Awesome.
To have their support with it.
U.S. distribution, Kimiko was recently picked up by the label called Amplifier, which is they're new to the game, and they picked up three other Sundance titles from the same edition as you guys, but you guys got picked up rather late in the game.
Yeah.
And I was wondering whether, I imagine you had offers, that you had different people interested. How did you guys decide that they were the right fit? How did that come about? Like, were people maybe hesitant to maybe pick up the title, or perhaps, I don't know if you can detail some of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a really challenging time for distribution. This is a really this doesn't. I think what was great about this film is there's not another Kumiko. So it's in a kind of a category of its own, but the downside of that is it's in a category of its own, and you can't kind of confine it to a certain genre very easily. So I think it's rewarding in the long run, but it makes it more of a challenge in terms of not being able to conveniently plug it in to a certain mold. And so I know, and I don't know. Well, we don't have a release date locked down yet, or I don't know. I should know that very soon.
I would think that maybe you're gonna hit a couple more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully this fall. I don't know. Yeah, we'll know soon. But they've.
I mean, they've picked up really like you're talking about being in the box that's separate. I mean, like The Better Angels is another one of those films where it's like it's going to take a special kind of backing or
yeah. No, and we're really enthusiastic about working with them, so
cool.
It should be good.
You've done interviews for the past 5 months, and usually I have the chance of interviewing directors such as yourself right at hours after the world premiere. So like a lot of these questions you've answered a billion times before. So my question to you is what's something that people from the press don't ask you often, and what's something that you would like to talk about this film that people don't address? Or
that's a good question. It's funny the things that that people you do see patterns in terms of things people talk
like
about.
A breakdown of a general interview.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people in general, I feel like it's either people have covered it with their questions, or if I want to address it, I'll find a way to work it in.
Okay.
But I think what you touched on at the beginning is just how the it's in terms of story, in terms of premise, it's culturally specific, and that plays into into part of it, into the part of the narrative. But it's but in terms of the themes behind it, very wanted to be accessible on have just kind of on a universal kind of just human level.
Do people read in? Sorry, I'm interrupting again.
No.
Do people read in too much into Kumiko's choice of symbolic value behind her red.
Oh,
Do
some
they,
people.
do they always go?
They've
like,
asked about that, yeah, and it's that was the main motivation for that was.
I just thought it contrasted well on snow.
Yeah,
and then, like,
yeah,
the
that was
background
really
like
it was really like people were like, oh, is it Little Red
Yeah.
Riding Hood or things like, and that's but what I like about and that's a totally valid answer, and what I like is I like when people bring their own stuff to the table with that.
Their own
Yeah,
meanings,
yeah, and it's totally valid, and I think it
Uh-huh.
makes total sense, and I'm sure on some because this is very much a fable in the film, and so on a subconscious level maybe there's some element of that, but and I wish I could say, oh yes, that was this big plan of ours, but any kind of references we would want to just operate on a subtle, subconscious level anyway. But in the moment when you're making it, it's more of just the practical discussion of aesthetics. I mean, that was we wanted the one thing we wanted her to have from the script stage was she basically has a uniform. It's comfort based. And we didn't, because it'd be very, if someone else is making it'd be very, especially if Westerners are making it, you want to make like a little cute, like very cute Japanese stylish girl, you know. And we wanted her, she's not into fashion or style, she's into functionality and just getting the job done. And so we like the idea of this of just this, like the Kumiko uniform. And
it's fun to see that progression of how she goes from one uniform and then
and then she powers up.
it's great. It's great.
And so that was from the script stage I was discussed, and then but from a practical standpoint in Japan she doesn't wear. In Japan we didn't see anyone on the streets wearing red. It was all dark colors. And so we knew the red would pop out in the crowd there, and so that made we just another level of isolation basically for her. And then in America, the red contrasting the snow, so like you were saying, so that was the motivation for that, just from a visual sense.
Again, Fargo. I'm bringing Fargo back into the discussion. Did you ever, when you started thinking about the film and then thinking about characters, did you ever feel you needed a Frances McDormand character in this film, and why is it that, you show up on screen and you play a character that belongs to this nurturing world that Frances's character kind of portrays?
Well, let's see. We very much wanted it to be its own piece, tonally and structurally. We didn't want. I think
I could do parallels between those two characters. Like they're almost like they could give instructions on how to get from point A to point B type police officers, or being super overly helpful. Yeah. And that's a nurturing quality that you don't see when you watch cops. You obviously don't see.
Yeah, well, we didn't want the aggro cop character, tough guy. We wanted a gentle cop. I think we very much and I hadn't seen that film in a very long time, and I didn't when we were making this. I didn't wanted this to be very much its own piece, and wanted to be very respectful. We weren't the last thing we wanted to do was like some winky homage or anything. We wanted to just be it was part of the urban legend, and so we wanted to embrace it in terms of a catalyst for her journey, but not try to do some kind of cheap winky.
It has
thing.
a very small. It's very small in terms of the scope of the film. It's a very small. How can I say this?
Element.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But with and then in terms of the characters she encounters in America, we didn't want there to be like some bad guy, that was like the obstacle. We wanted her. We wanted something where you could drape in kind of an excuse why things are going the way they're going. We wanted her to be in control of her own destiny in that regard, and so we like the idea of people. Wanting to help her, but it's more reflective of real life where people have different perspectives of what help is. And help is always conditional. Both the old woman and the cop, they're helping to the best of their ability based on what their definition of help is. But that clashes very strongly with Kumiko's needs, and so that was something that was interesting to us in terms of those characters and their dynamic.
This is the last time I'm going to reference anything about Fargo or the Coen Brothers, but I'm just curious: have the Coen Brothers seen the film?
Not that we know of.
Okay.
I hope they do at some point. But
I'll be fine. I'll end with this question. I happen to notice that you guys had, I think your producer Chris was at the producer's Sundance Lab with a project that you've kind of been toying with again for a little while.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a Spinal Tapian, but a crazy world. I mean, I saw the thing on Funny or Die.
Oh, the short.
the short, and I was wondering, is this a potential project that you're looking to do in fairly soon?
Yeah, well, we have. I mean,
this?
the Kumiko took so long that while we'd almost get different things would hold up the film, everything from weather to schedule to financing, all those sorts of things. And so in the meantime, we were. We were everything from shorts to videos to 2 features and then writing scripts. And so we have the nice thing. I mean, the nice thing about coming out of Kumiko with it taking it long is that we have like multiple scripts ready to go, and that's one of the projects. So we have all kinds of stuff we want to do, and it's just kind of a matter of which one takes off first.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time, David. That's a great film, and
thanks so much.
And I would strongly suggest that people check into your filmography, which is not just 5 feature films, but you produce creative. I mean, it's creative overload from your guys, and it's always fun. I guess it must be fun to be a tag team, I guess.
Yeah, that makes it easy. Having a partner makes it easier to get stuff done, and then also I just I don't know. We need to be making stuff, and so if we're either this was on the biggest scale of anything we've done thus far, and we want to continue to go to bigger projects, but we also don't want to sit around and wait. So and also just different stories dictate certain things. Like we almost made Kimiko a few years ago, and then when that didn't happen, we had Kid Thing ready to go, and we knew that Kid Thing wouldn't. It was something that we could do for very little, and it's not something, even if we wanted it to, it's not the kind of thing that people would put a lot of money into. And so we'll operate within whatever means we have.
Of course. So I guess the word of advice here is always don't sit on one script. It's always be working. Yeah.
I think, when I was younger, I thought, we could have everything as linear in terms of I'm going to do this and this. And it's like, no, you just have, you go with what you can, and then also you just keep flexing those muscles. And Kumiko is what it is because of Kid Thing and Goliath and all the shorts. If we hadn't done those, if we sat around and waited, Kumiko would have really suffered.
One experience informs the other.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you.